I feel like I say this every offseason, but this is the most crucial and important offseason for the Carolina Panthers, probably in franchise history, definitely most recent franchise history, and most definitely David Tepper's ownership history, I guess, as the team owner since he's been here since 2018. But we have a lot of things that are up in the air, a lot of moving parts that are going on. And the situation is that David Tepper has not been to the playoffs in his 6 years of ownership of this team. As I said, he fired the general manager and the head coach this year. This will be the first time that this franchise will be looking for both head coach and GM for the first time in over 20 years. In fact, it's been since 2002 since that has happened. So even beyond David Tepper, we've been doing this little do-si-do, do-si-day dance of GM and head coach for a while, and it's time to finally get off that carousel and try to get things right. This video will be an off-season primer, just letting you know where things stand from a cap standpoint, pending free agents, draft capital, and team needs. I got everything that this off-season that you need. This is your kit, I guess, per se, your starter pack for this off-season as we move into this Panthers future, and I got you covered. We're going to get into all that and more. We're starting right now. What up, though? Aaron Duncan with Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. Recap and analysis of the Panthers is what I do on here, obviously, with this hat on and this shirt. If it wasn't clear, now you know. But if you want to see more videos just like this, film breakdowns, I got tons of draft stuff. Whether you're a Panthers fan or you just love the draft just like me, I'm gonna be on top of all that stuff, and I got it coming rapid fire, man. I took a little break to get my mind right, but I'm back in it. So make sure you are subscribed, hit notifications because you don't miss anything, because things are gonna be happening fast, man. Things are going to be happening fast. Like I said, we haven't hired the general manager and head coach as of today when I'm making this video, but when that stuff happens, your boy is on top of it. So make sure you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me out in that algorithm. Regardless, man, this team, it seems like it's dark. It's the dark ages. This is a low. I know a lot of people took it on the chin, the fact that we traded the #1 overall pick to get Bryce Young, and it turned into the #1 overall pick, and it's the Bears. The Bears, most of these fans, they're trolling us about it. It's online. Who cares about that? It's over and done with. Regardless, whoever comes in as a general manager is going to have to hit on picks past day one anyway. But to me, if a competent GM and a head coach with a vision that come in together in lockstep, they can make things do what it do. We see teams like the Rams that had to go through a rebuild after they're all in on the Super Bowl. They hit on round 3, day 2, and day 3 picks that continue to contribute, like Puka Nacua, Byron Young, and the list goes on and on. These teams continue to build based off these value picks, and if we want to be a serious franchise, we got to start hitting on that type of stuff. And I think it's not the worst job in the world. I'm optimistic to the point that if we get the right hire and the right people in here and they're allowed to do their thing, this ship can be corrected in 2 years. With this weak division, man, we'll be ready to compete because nobody else in the division has their franchise quarterback. So we kind of have a leg up. Let's go ahead and do things. We can still have a chance to be competitive while we get things right over these next 2 years and do things the right way. So let's go ahead and take a look at the salary cap situation. So I'll be referencing SpotTrack. That's SPOTRAC.com. This is one of the free salary cap information websites. Some people use Over the Cap, some people use SpotTrack. I think both have their pluses and minuses. Regardless, according to SpotTrack, the Panthers are projected to have about $32 million in cap space, which is about middle of the pack in the league. So nothing really to write home about, but not the worst situation in the world. They recently came out with the article that there's a potential max savings by cutting some players of another $16 million that can be added to this cap. They didn't really go into the specifics of who it is, but if you can save over $1 million, they said that, hey, if they were to make any move or cuts that would save $1 million against the cap, there's about $16 million of wiggle room. So they won't do all of that. I'm sure the Panthers won't, but that just lets you know that they can easily add another $16 million there and get that total up to $48 million in cap space by making some tough cuts. It may be your favorite player. It may be your mama's favorite player. But if we really are serious and we have to make some tough moves, $16 million is there available to be made with some potential cuts. They also went into a part of the article that said that there's an amount of money that can be made by restructuring. Now, you know how restructuring works. You may not. I'll briefly go into it. So players have certain salaries. Their base salary is guaranteed money. They also have bonuses. Those bonuses are allocated across the years of their contract. So if they signed a 5-year contract and they got $5 million in bonuses, $1 million, aka $5 million divided by 5 years. $1 million per year is allocated against the cap as the year goes on. Whatever the base salary is, you add that along with that bonus and it allocates over those years. When you restructure, you turn some of those bonuses into base salary and it allows you to free up a little bit more cap space. This is not always the best thing to do because, like I said, you allocate those over future years. If you restructure contracts, that money that's due, it comes and hurts you in the future cap. Now, some teams do that because it's necessary, especially if you have guys that you know are going to be there or you know they may sign another extension. It's a good way to get under the cap, but it's a crazy game to play. We know that the New Orleans Saints play this game every offseason. They're always $100 million over the cap, but somehow they make moves, they sign who they want to sign, and they get under that cap and they're fine. Some teams like to operate that way. Some teams like to operate pretty lean. It just depends what type of owner you have, and it's about the cash he's willing to pay. We have the owner that has cash, so this is something you can play with. Long story short, the article on Spot Track said that there's about $69 million in cap savings that can be created with restructures. That is a huge amount of money. So summary is restructuring contracts is helpful for the short term, can help you in the long term if you don't do it correctly, and if you're too aggressive about it, it can put you in a tough spot later, but the cap always goes up in the future. So a lot of teams like to play this game. I say all that to say the Panthers can create potentially an additional $69 million in cap space if they restructured everybody that was eligible to. They won't do that, of course. They will do some of it, but they probably won't do all of it. It will give you an additional flexibility. So between potential gutting the roster and making some tough cuts and all of the restructure potential that's out there, there's a potential to create another $85 million in cap space in addition to that $32 million that we already have right now. So a lot of flexibility to be had out there. Things aren't as dire as it may seem on paper. When you see that $32 million, there's always another story to be told. It's really hard to determine how aggressive these teams will be in terms of cutting and restructures. Obviously, you can make trades as well to free up some cap space. We don't know who's going to be a part of this team. We don't know what's going to work out with Brian Burns if they trade him. We don't know if they're going to do other kind of deals or how aggressive they want to be in free agency. We just don't know enough about the identity of the team to know that who would be sticking around as a fit and who would. But the bright side is we finally gotten to a point where the dead money that the Panthers have is very low. Dead money is just money that counts against the books currently for players that aren't on the team, whether you traded them or cut them. We finally got Robbie Anderson off the books, finally got Christian McCaffrey off the books, DJ Moore's off the books as well. 3 big salaries that were on the books for a while are finally clear. The dead money is low, so we're almost at a breathable position in terms of that. And that potential extra $85 million in cap space is going to be needed, probably not all of it, but when in terms of pending free agents in our next section of this video, the laundry list is long, but some of the top guys are CJ Henderson, Frankie Louvu, Brian Burns, of course, Etor Gross-Matos, Jeremy Chin, JJ Jansen, shout out to the GOAT, Amir Smith-Marset, who is a restricted free agent, Troy Hill, who is our starting nickel that played well, Sam Franklin, our special teams ace, DJ Chark, who is our leading receiver in touchdown. Of course, the biggest decision for whoever the new regime is what the heck do you do with Brian Burns? We know the prior GM fumbled the bag. He had a chance to get 2 first-round picks and a day 2 pick from the Rams. He passed on it because they said we want an edge rusher at a premier position on this roster. I'm fine with that. But they also been playing this hopscotch, do-si-do-do-si-day, cat and mouse game of negotiating the contract, and it's really gotten nasty, and it's gotten to the point where it's past the general manager that was in the middle of this negotiation, and hell, it might even cost him his job because he kind of mishandled this situation overall. But again, Brian Burns plays a premium position. Edge rushers do not grow on trees. They're one of the most important guys in the league. Quarterback is the most important, but getting after the quarterback is just as important. So it's probably the second most important position in the game of football when you have a tier 2 guy in this league that's in the upper echelon of some of the best rushers in the league. You probably want to keep him around. Now, what the number is, who knows? However, I think that Brian Burns has a talent that can fit into any system. Now, financially, business-wise, will the new regime want to let him go or try to trade him and just get that money off the books? Who knows? But that is a decision they will have to make in terms of him being that free agent. The other one, Frankie Louvu. Frankie Louvu, very versatile linebacker. Obviously, he had to step into more of an off-ball linebacker role with Shaq Thompson being hurt, but he's one of the best, if not the best, pass rushing off-ball linebackers in the league. He can line up on the edge. He can line up inside. He can play the run very well. He can play the pass. He's instinctual there. Nobody shoots the gap better than Frankie Louvu in terms of getting tackles for losses. One of the most productive linebackers in the franchise history in the league as well. And that's saying a lot because you know the great linebackers we have in this franchise. So Frankie Louvu is one of them ones. He has not been paid yet. He was a diamond in the rough that we acquired from the Jets during the Matt Rule era. He started as a special teams guy. He's far and beyond exceeded that. I don't know what his number would be as far as projected salary, but that will be a contract that somebody will try to negotiate. He'll be hitting the open market, so it's going to be tough. But I feel like Frankie Louvu is a guy that's loyal enough that would love to either stay here with the Panthers or he may go out west to Seattle or somebody when they come calling to get back close to home to where he was at. But I think that that's a decision that they will have to make. You know what I'm saying? If we keep a Ejiro Evero, will he want Frankie Louvu? Probably so, because he is a good player. He's versatile. Like I said, getting after the quarterback is not something that is taken lightly around this league, and Frankie Louvu does that very well. So two tough decisions to be made about these pending free agents. A few other key guys to consider that may end up coming back is Troy Hill. I think if Ejiro Evero comes back, Troy Hill will probably come back. He played and had a background with Ejiro, which was the reason why he came here, played very well at that nickel position, surprised us a lot. He even was a good cover guy to the point that it made it hard for Jeremy Chin to get on the field as a big nickel. So Troy Hill is a guy that I would consider bringing back. Amir Smith-Marset. He's a restricted free agent. We can get him to a restricted free agent deal. We have exclusive rights to him initially. He was acquired in a pick swap with the Chiefs as a receiver with the 6th and 7th round pick. Very, very low cost, very dynamic weapon. Obviously a punt returner. I think there's still a way more upside in his receiving game that we haven't even used him at yet because of when he came into the team. I love Amir Smith-Marset, one of my favorite players on the team this year. I would love to have him back because he will be cheap. And of course, Sam Franklin, the special teams ace. I do not know why he has not made a Pro Bowl yet. This dude plays every spot on the special teams, and he plays it hard. He even got some playing time this year and filling in for some injured safeties. Had that long pick 6 against the Vikings, so he really got a chance to show what he can do in terms of making plays outside of special teams. I think he will be cheap as well. He was a restricted free agent last year. We brought him back. I think that he'll be cheap. I think that he'll want to stay as well. I like Sam Franklin. I would love to bring him back. And of course, guys like YGM and Jeremy Chin are going to be very dependent on who the new regime is. Do they like these guys? Do they want to keep them? Etor had a pretty decent year in terms of setting the edge. If we keep Ejiro Evero, will he want to keep Etor around for a very cheap contract? Who knows? Jeremy Chin, if Ejiro stays, he's probably gone. I think he's gone anyway. Unfortunately, he's one of my favorite players, and they turned him into a full-time personal protector. I think he's hitting the road. I'm sure he'll go to some team like all our players do that we like and go and excel, go play for a contender and end up balling out. And we're probably kicking ourselves this time next year about not re-signing Jeremy Chin. Let's fast forward to the draft situation, though, because I know a lot of people are so devastated, and a lot of the animosity towards Bryce Young is they felt like we traded our whole future to get Bryce Young. Let me just stop you right there. We have 6 picks. We have 6 picks, 2 inside the top 100. We won't be getting any comp picks, unfortunately. Even if Ejiro gets hired or Thomas Brown gets hired, we won't be getting any kind of comp picks there because they weren't here long enough to get that. It doesn't look like we'll get any for losing more free agents than we brought in. So we kind of have what we have with these 6 picks. If we trade guys, like I mentioned before, we could get some picks that way. But 6 picks is where we are sitting. We're only missing the first. Like I said before, if we want to be a serious franchise, we're going to have to hit after day 1 anyway. So there's no point in crying over spilled milk. This is the situation we have. If we do what we need to do to make Bryce Young that guy, nobody's going to care what we traded to get him. Look at the Patrick Mahomes trade. They traded 2 first-round picks and a 3rd to move up with the Bills. Nobody really even knew what that deal was. Nobody even knew that they traded with the Bills because the fact that Patrick Mahomes keeps beating the Bills is so ironic because nobody even knows or thinks about what went down on that trade. But here we are. So, like I said, your franchise quarterback is going to be worth whatever you paid for him if he's that guy. So we just have to do what we need to do to make sure he's that guy. Who do I think are our team needs, position needs? 1, wide receiver. 2, interior offensive line. 3, interior defensive line. And 4, I think edge is also another need. Obviously, there are other things that can be upgraded, but I think in terms of what's dire and what we have to upgrade moving into next year are those 4 positions. But the Panthers have a second, a third, a fourth, 2 fifth-round picks, and a 6th. So everything is in the top 179 picks in the draft. So, of course, losing sucks. We won't pick until number 33, the first overall pick in that 2nd round. But look, we're still going to get a chance to get some good talent there. Hell, we can even move back to accumulate more picks. A lot of flexibility with where we are, and depending on, like I said, who we have, can we get more top 100 picks? I think this is a very top-heavy draft. I would be looking to do whatever I can to get as many top 100 picks as possible because we have 2 currently, but around 4 is 101. So that's almost another top 100 pick. Those are guys that are typically the first 3 rounds that you know are going to be able to have a good chance of making an impact right away, and we need those type of guys that can develop quick and help us for the cheap. And like I said, I'm still not sure why people just swear we have no picks, because next year we have our first round pick back. We're just missing a 2nd. And like I said, if we make a certain trade for certain players, we can really accumulate these picks anyway. So thinking that we just have no picks, it's a little bit exaggeration and it's a little bit far-fetched. Yes, it sucks that we had to trade DJ Moore, and I would prefer not to trade a good player like that. But in terms of the pick situation, people just swear we have no picks. We have picks. We have picks, guys. And like I said, a competent front office and GM can make picks and make things do what it do and finagle and get the most out of those players. It's not just about picking the right guys. It's about coaching them up. When you have a certain type and you want them for your system, go get them, coach them up, and you can get impact out of that. Like I said, I mentioned the Rams. I mentioned the Chiefs. I mentioned teams like that, or the Saints from that 2017 draft class, where one draft class can really set you apart. If you remember the Saints 2017 draft class, they did some things that really set them up. They had been in salary cap hell for a while, but being able to get players on rookie contracts like that really sets you up to have success. And with us already having our quarterback on his rookie deal, it's time to be more aggressive with the spending in terms of that, and couple that with some draft picks that have some upside. I want to build through the draft and supplement through free agency. Let's make things happen. But this has been your off-season preview, primer, whatever you want to call it, for the Carolina Panthers. We talked about who was going to be pending free agents, the salary cap, draft picks, team needs, all of the above. I want to get you guys' thoughts down below. How are you feeling about this offseason? Are you feeling encouraged after hearing some of the stuff about where we are? Are you feeling a little bit depressed? Are you just really kind of holding your tongue and biting your tongue until we see who gets hired? You just say, like, as long as David Tepper's the owner, we're going to be trash. It doesn't matter about all the details. Let me know how you feel down below in the comments about this crucial off season coming up. I want to get you guys' thoughts. Let's chop it up down below. My name is Aaron Duncan here with the Necessary Blunt and Sports Talk. Without further ado, I'll see you next time. Peace.